Manchester United are in talks with Chelsea over a shock deal for Raheem Sterling, with Jadon Sancho going the other way. Victor Lindelof and Christian Eriksen are two players to keep an eye on in the final weeks of the window. And when will McTominay and Ugarte's medicals be? These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're literally just about to hit 40,000 subscribers. So if this is your first time watching, make sure you get involved. Everyone is welcome. Right, let's start the show off with some positivity then, shall we? Before we get into the more controversial, opinionated part of the show, let's start with the facts. And the facts are this. Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United is a here we go. That happened this morning. That was amazing. I'm so happy about that. Apparently, he's going to fly to Manchester today or later on today, and then he'll be doing his medical first thing tomorrow, which I think is great. And apparently Scott McTominay is set to fly to Naples later on today and will then carry out his medical as a new Napoli player tomorrow morning. I'll be honest, right? This is probably one of the strangest transfers I've ever remembered in Manchester United's history. I'm sure there are others that have been strange, but who would have thought at the beginning of the transfer window we'd have signed Manuel Ugarte, who's a very, very good CDM, and McTominay would have joined Napoli. I mean, the strange part is more the McTominay going to Napoli than the Manuel Ugarte coming to Manchester United, because we know that before Manuel Ugarte joined PSG last summer, Manchester United were also trying to sign him then, but I think PSG were willing to pay more money up front, so they got the player. So Man United have had a long-standing interest in Manuel Ugarte, not just this summer, the summer before. So don't forget that. He's not like a name that's just popped out of nowhere. We did try and sign him last summer. But yeah, I just still can't get my head around McTominay moving to Napoli. Like, what a move that is for him. You know, fair play to him. And I don't have anything bad to say about McTominay. I'm not going to sit here and, you know, call him horrible names and stuff, because I just don't do that on this channel. It's not a toxic channel. I'm not going to, you know, call players out. I don't think he's good enough for Manchester United, but as a person, as a professional, I think you can't really complain about McTominay. He works hard. He trains properly. He seems like a good lad. You know, he seems like he does love Manchester United and all the rest of it, which is a tick, but you also do need to have the quality, which I'm not sure if, in my opinion, he possesses. But some people think he does, and that's obviously fine. That's up to you. It's the beautiful thing about football is everyone can have an opinion. And I think as long as you're not toxic and you're not abusive, I think all opinions are welcomed. If you're one of those people who's just toxic and calls them horrible names and stuff, like, it's not really an opinion, is it? That's just abuse. So, yeah, that's my take on it. Everyone can have an opinion. Some people like McTominay, some people don't. Some people think he's good enough, some people don't. But the fact of the matter is he's hardworking. And, yeah, I wish him all the best. But, so, yeah, that's the positive news. Obviously, the medical's taking place tomorrow. Both players set to travel to Naples, obviously McTominay, and Ugarte to Manchester. So that will be later on today. We'll probably see pictures of them getting in the private jets, pictures of them boarding the plane, and, you know, all of that stuff, all of that good stuff, which gets people excited. But let's move on from that, though, and move on to something a little bit more, I'm going to call it controversial, because I think everyone's going to have an opinion on this, and I think this is going to be quite a heated part of the show. So the question I've got for you today is this. Now, let me give you a bit of context here, because I think a lot of people are just going to say, I don't want Sterling, just over and over and over again, right? So I want to give a bit of context. At this moment in time, Juventus aren't willing to pay us any money for Jadon Sancho. That was reported earlier on today. Juventus are only willing to take Jadon Sancho if it's a loan with no obligation to buy. Okay? So that's option one. Option two is Chelsea, who apparently also don't want to pay a fee for him. Apparently. They want to take him on loan, or they want to do a loan with maybe an obligation to buy, or some sort of loan. So the situation that we have now is Manchester United have Jadon Sancho. They have offers on the table for him, but they're all loan offers. At the moment, there's no one offering cash for Jadon Sancho, and the window closes in 3 days from now, so we don't have very long left. Now, this is the question I've got for you. Listen, bear in mind what I've just said there. Nobody's offering us cash for Jadon Sancho. Nobody's offering us even a loan with an obligation to buy. Now, with that in mind, would you do a deal with Chelsea involving Raheem Sterling joining Manchester United and Jadon Sancho joining Chelsea? Let me know. So let me give you a bit of news. This is coming out from Sky Sports. Sky Sports are reporting that the possibility of Sancho and Sterling swap deal is now a strong possibility. That was the first bit. And then we also have Fabrizio, who said that apparently Chelsea are happy to sign Jadon Sancho if Manchester United are prepared to take one of the players from their squad like Raheem Sterling. And then you also have Sky Cave from Cavi Solihull from Sky Sports, saying Chelsea would be open to a Sancho Sterling swap deal if both players are open to the move. And then before that, earlier on today, you've got another journalist coming out saying that apparently Manchester United have now opened talks with Raheem Sterling for a swap deal with Jadon Sancho. It says it will only happen on Manchester United's terms, though Dan Ashworth has discussed the possibility with Chelsea today. So Dan Ashworth apparently has had a meeting with Chelsea today to discuss this potential deal involving Sancho in exchange for Raheem Sterling. So this is one that definitely looks like it's got strong possibility of happening. Now, there is always the possibility that Juventus maybe see this and come in and say, you know what, we'll do the loan with the obligation to buy. That would be my preferred option. But at the moment, Juventus aren't offering that. Juventus are offering a loan with a buy clause. So in the summer of next year, they'll get to decide whether they want to buy him. And the other negative thing about that deal is Juventus want us to pay half of his salary for the next 12 months. And then at the end of that 12 months, they'll decide whether they want to sign him. There'll be no obligation for them to buy. And I think that that's just a poor deal. Like, the last thing I want, and I've said this many, many times before, the last thing I want is for Jadon to go out on loan, us to pay half of his salary, and then him to come back to Manchester next summer and him be our problem again. If he's going to go, he's got to go permanently. I don't want him to stay at the club, and I don't want him to go out on loan. The two options are either, or three options, are either a straight sale, that's the preferred option. The second best option is a loan with an obligation to buy next summer. And the third best option is the Raheem Sterling swap deal. But I'll be honest with you, right? I would swap Jadon Sancho for Sterling, personally. Hear what I say, though. That's my third priority. My first priority is straight sale, but no one's offering that. The second priority is loan with an obligation to buy. No one's offering that. The third option is a swap deal with Sterling, which Chelsea are offering. And the fourth option is a loan to Juventus with no obligation to buy. That's what they're offering. So I would rather do the swap deal with Sterling than loan him to Juventus for a year, pay half of his wages, and then in 12 months, Juventus turn around and say, we don't want him anymore, have him back, and then he's our problem again. And he'd only have a year left on his contract, which means he'll probably then just say, you know what, I'm going to run down my deal. He's only 24, remember, Sancho. His contract expires at Manchester United in 2 years, so he'll only be 26 when his contract expires. So even if he just kind of hanged around, did a couple of loan moves and stuff, he'd be a 26-year-old free agent who could probably move to quite a few top clubs at that point if, you know, he doesn't completely flop in the next couple of years. But that's why I think we need to really, really solve this situation now, because I think the more it goes on, the more this issue is going to be. But yeah, you can get involved in the poll. You can let me know your thoughts. So I want to do a bit of a comparison here, because I can see a lot of people just like, I don't want Sterling. He's not good enough. He's 29 years of age, Raheem Sterling. I think over the last decade, and people can laugh at this, you can say what you want, but as wingers go, over the last decade, I'd say that Raheem Sterling is probably in the top 10 in the Premier League. I'm not saying he's the number one, I'm not saying he's the number two, but I'd say he is in the top 10 of all wingers in the Premier League. Over the last 10 years, I'm not saying ever, I'm saying over the last 10 years. And the reason for that is, all you have to do is go and look at the stats. Go and look at the data. Go and look at the clubs that he's played for. Like, he's not a bad player, and I think, you know, he's just been treated badly by some fans, and I think a lot of people are... Like, look at this, for example, right? Chelsea signed him for nearly 60 million euros 2 summers ago. Liverpool sold him to Man City in 2015 for nearly 70 million euros. Like, he's not a bad player, and if you look at his stats over the last 10 years that he's played in the Premier League, he's scored 123 goals and got 62 assists in 372 games. So he's averaging a goal or an assist pretty much every other game over the last kind of 10 or so years. And even if you look at last season, right? Last season in the Premier League, Raheem Sterling got 8 goals and 4 assists, which in 31 games is nearly a goal or an assist every other game, right? You compare that with Garnacho. Garnacho last season in the Premier League, he played 36 games, so he played 5 more games than Sterling. He got 7 goals and 4 assists. So there's people who are here like, Sterling's not very good, get rid of him. Sterling scored more goals and got more assists last season in less games than Garnacho did. And they play in the same position. And Chelsea were worse than Manchester United last season, probably. That's probably fair to say. I know they picked up a little bit towards the end of the season, but over the course of the season, I would probably say that Chelsea were worse. So when you look at it like that, and you look at what we have in front of us, is he my dream signing? No. But I've said many, many times before that we desperately need to strengthen our attacking area. And I can see people saying like, oh, those stats are all in the past. That's not relevant. It's not now. But okay, so we've just done the comparison. Raheem Sterling was more prolific last season than Garnacho was. That's a fact. The stats don't lie. Then you go back the season before that, okay? And he still was kind of putting up the same type of stats, in all competitions last season. So that was in the FA Cup, etc., etc. He got 18 goals and assists in 40 games. So literally nearly a goal and assist every other game. Will it work? I don't know. He might come, he might flop, and we might all be sat here saying, why the hell did we do that deal? But the key thing here is we need to do something with Jadon Sancho. And if this is the best option we have, then we have to take it. My hope is that Juventus see this going on and say, you know what? We're going to go back in for him. We'll give you the money. How much do you want? 40 million euros? Okay, cool. Let's do a deal. That's what I hope happens. That's my preferred option. But if that doesn't happen and the only option is a loan, I'm taking Raheem Sterling. Sky Sports in the last literally 30 seconds are saying that Chelsea and Manchester United are now in talks over deals involving Jadon Sancho and Raheem Sterling, with both deals now being strongly considered. That was literally in the last couple of minutes. So whether you like it or not, it looks like this is picking up momentum. It does. And I don't really understand this whole thing. Like, obviously, if Jadon Sancho goes to Chelsea and he does well, they're going to have got the better deal. There's no doubt about that. But Jadon Sancho at Manchester United has no future. The only way that he possibly has a future, and still even then, I don't think he has a future, is if Erik ten Hag was to get sacked, and maybe then he comes back into the team. But would you even want that? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want, if Erik ten Hag gets sacked, I don't want Jadon Sancho to suddenly come back into the team. Like, that doesn't sit right with me. Like, yes, he fell out of the manager, but still, he's still, called out the manager on social media. He's still, the moment he moved back to Dortmund, he was kissing the badge saying that he's home. You go on his Instagram now, he's posting all the time, and none of it's Man United stuff. It's all him in Dortmund kits. His profile picture's him in a Dortmund kit. He doesn't even have Manchester United in the bio of his Instagram. And I know some people are like, why is that important? But it clearly shows how little he cares about Manchester United. It shows how little he cares about the fan base, right? And the last thing I would want was Erik ten Hag to be sacked in the future, and then Jadon Sancho to be back in that team, to be rewarded. Like, it's a massive, massive no for me. So yeah, I've kind of said my piece on Jadon Sancho. It's a definite no. It's definitely one to watch, though, over the kind of next few days of the window. I personally think this will happen. Obviously, Raheem Sterling's been kind of moved out of the first team. So, he's definitely going to leave, whether it's to Manchester United or somewhere else. We'll have to wait and see. Somebody says, isn't he a Manchester United fan as well? Yeah, apparently he is a lifelong Manchester United fan, Raheem Sterling, which is interesting. We've got over 1,000 people watching the video live now, which is amazing. If everyone could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's try and get to 1,000 likes by the time the video ends. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe as well. We are on the road to 40,000 subscribers. We're very, very close now. So please do go and subscribe if this is your first time watching. Once we hit 40k, I'm going to be giving out 2 Manchester United shirts. We'll be doing a giveaway on the channel, but you have to be subscribed. So go and do that now if you haven't already. Everyone is welcome. Right, let's see what people are saying in the chat about Raheem Sterling. Daniel says Sterling would come with a point to prove because he's a United fan. It's a fun signing to get excited about. I think so as well, mate. I'm way more excited about the prospect of Raheem Sterling than Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho's done for me. Somebody says, so yeah, he is genuinely a Manchester United fan, Raheem Sterling. Lumen says, Kieran, are we getting Sterling just for the sake of getting rid of Sancho? I mean, if you're asking me whether Sancho was on our target list at the beginning of the window, my answer would be no. But this isn't a usual transfer. This is a strange situation. So you have to remember that, okay? Manchester United are having to work for a really, really difficult situation here where a player has effectively called out the manager, had a falling out, refused to play, doesn't train properly, doesn't turn up on time, posting cryptic messages on social media, blah, 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 blah. Sancho has to be got rid of, and there's no one there willing to buy him. And that then means that Manchester United have to probably think a little bit creatively. And this is a creative deal. Is it the right deal? Only time will tell. Will Sterling work at Manchester United? Who knows? But as somebody said in the chat a couple of minutes ago, he is a Manchester United fan. It does kind of feel like a fun signing. It's a free hit. Sancho's not going to work at Manchester United. The best case scenario, right? If Sancho stays at Manchester United, he hangs about, probably sits on the bench, probably sulks around, and then in 2 years he leaves for nothing, you know? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Manchester United package this deal, because I don't think Raheem Sterling is worth the same amount of money as Jadon Sancho. Obviously, he's a lot older. He's 29, I think. Jadon Sancho's only 24. So I feel like there is a bit of a gap in the kind of valuations of the two players. I'm just having a look on Transfer Market to see how much they value Raheem Sterling at. Let's have a little look. Right, so on Transfer Market, he's valued at 35 million euros, Raheem Sterling. And as I've said to you guys before, like, Transfer Market is very, very reliable for transfer fees. It's more like what they're actually worth. It's not what someone's willing to pay. And then this is crazy, right? So I honestly think that Transfer Market is like legit. I do. I think it's very, very reliable. And I'll explain to you why in a minute. So Jadon Sancho on Transfer Market is valued at 30 million euros. Okay? Raheem Sterling on Transfer Market is currently valued at 35 million euros. So technically, based on, and these websites taking all of the data, all of the stats, technically, Sterling is worth more than Jadon Sancho at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean, though, obviously Sancho's stock price is at rock bottom. Sancho could go to Chelsea and have a good season, and he'll probably be worth 60, 70 million by the end of next year. So you've obviously got to factor that in. At the moment, Sancho is, a castaway. He's someone who has fallen out of the team, fallen out of the manager, not playing, all the rest of it. So you can see why he's valued so low, because effectively he's not in good form. He's barely even playing. But just to give you a bit of a comparison to see how reliable this website is. So Manuel Ugarte on Transfer Market is valued at 45 million euros, right? And we've just agreed a deal for 50 million euros. So it gives you a bit of an idea of like how reliable this website is, or at least like it's close to what the correct price is. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys all think about Sterling. Obviously, get your comments in, let me know your thoughts. But yeah, Cuckoo says Sterling has still got pace. Somebody says he's a lifelong United fan, but paid for Liverpool. I mean, what does that really mean? It's a job, isn't it? That's like being like this, right? It's like being like, oh, I'm a lifelong... I don't know, I'm going to think of a stupid analogy here. To be like, oh, I'm a lifelong McDonald's fan, but I'm going to go and work in KFC. I mean, it's obviously not the same comparison, is it? That's a really bad comparison, but I'm trying to think of something a little bit more... I don't know, I can't think of an example. Football's just like completely different to everything, isn't it? There's nothing like football. I don't know. I can't think of an analogy which compares. At the end of the day, like, it's a job, isn't it? Raheem Sterling had the opportunity to go and play for Liverpool. Like, are you honestly telling me if you're a professional footballer and Liverpool wanted to sign you and you supported Manchester United that you wouldn't go and play for Liverpool? Of course you would. There's no one in this chat who can sit down and tell me that if Man United didn't want to sign you and Liverpool did, that you wouldn't want to sign for them. And you've got to remember as well, right? Raheem Sterling came through the youth academy at Liverpool. He was there since 2010. He was there literally since he was 15. So it's not like at the age of 20, he had Manchester United trying to sign him and he chose Liverpool over Manchester United. He was literally there since he was a 15-year-old boy. Like, imagine you're a 15-year-old and you have Liverpool wanting to come and sign you as a 15-year-old. Are you really going to be like, no, I support Manchester United, I'm not going to Liverpool? You're going to go to Liverpool. Of course you are. You've worked all of your life to become a professional footballer. So I'm not going to hold him accountable that at the age of 15, after probably making so many sacrifices as a teenager, probably having no social life as a child, like, just purely focusing on football, I'm not going to criticize him for deciding to go and play for Liverpool at the age of 15. Like, that's crazy. I'm sorry. And even go to play for Man City, like, I know rivalry is obviously a big thing in football, but go and look at some of Manchester United's best players, right? Go and look at like Schmeichel. He left Manchester United to go and play for Man City. Obviously, Carlos Tevez that was obviously pretty controversial. Like, players do that. Football's business. Football's money. Like, come on. I know for us fans, it's like a lot more than that, but for these players, it is just a job at the end of the day. And the point that a lot of people have made in the chat here, which I think is really, really fair, that he is a Manchester United fan. So maybe he comes to Manchester United and has a point to prove, Darren says you would play for any club regardless of who you support. Of course you would, mate. Of course you would. And I just think this whole narrative of like, oh, he played for Liverpool, I don't want him. It's like, come on. Look at the perspective. Look at when he joined Liverpool. He was there since a 15-year-old boy. They gave him the opportunity. As I said, it's not like at the age of 21, right? He had Manchester United trying to sign him for 50 million and Liverpool trying to sign him for 50 million and he chose Liverpool. Then you'd be a bit like, well, screw you, wouldn't you? Because he rejected us. But that's not the case. Like, we've never tried to sign Raheem Sterling. And there's never been an opportunity where Manchester United have had the chance to, because obviously he was at Liverpool. Liverpool wouldn't have sold to us. And he was at Man City. They wouldn't have sold to us. So it is a strange transfer, obviously. Don't get me wrong. It's a very, very strange transfer. But yeah. Gabrielle says, I think he's desperate. I'm sure he's a PSG fan as well. I don't know. Anyway, we as I said, it's a controversial topic. There's no right or wrong answer. Raheem Sterling moving to Manchester United is my third favourite option. My first is sell Sancho. My second is loan Sancho with an obligation to buy. And my third favourite is a swap deal with Sancho for Sterling. So it's bottom of my options list, but I still would do it because I want Sancho gone. Some positive news though. Why not? We have a Here We Go whilst we're live. So let's all smash a like on the video and subscribe. Here we go. This is coming from, obviously, Mr. Fabrizio Romano. He says, Scott McTominay to Napoli, here we go. Deal in place, 30 million euros package plus sell-on clause. He says that United have authorised Scott McTominay to travel for medical test and to sign his contract. There you go, guys. McTominay is finally gone. How does everybody feel about that? Let that sink in for a minute. McTominay, here we go. Hear those words. I just honestly, I don't think anybody would have been able to predict this deal, would they? That McTominay would join Napoli. There's not a single person of you in this chat that could honestly tell me, put your hand on your heart, and one, think that McTominay would ever leave Manchester United, and two, that if he did leave, he'd end up at Napoli. I mean, going to Fulham, that seems a little bit more believable. Going to like an Everton, that seems a bit more believable. I mean, that's still very amazing, to play it for a Premier League club. But to go to Napoli, amazing club, amazing fan base, done well in Serie A, incredible manager. But I just want to say this, right? Thank you, Scott McTominay. Thank you for all of the work, all of the passion, all of the desire. You never stopped running. You always gave 150%. But I just think at this moment in time, for where we want to go, I'm not sure he's the player to take us in that direction. But I've got nothing bad to say about the guy. I'm not a toxic person who's going to scream at the camera saying he's a disgrace and all the rest of it. I think he was hardworking. He showed passion. He clearly loved the football club. Been here since he was a little boy. Obviously, it'll be sad to see him go. It's always sad when a youth player goes, but I think it is the right decision for everybody. So I wish him all the best. 30 million euros. No one can complain about that, can they? 30 million euros is probably his market value. Again, let's have a little look on Transfer Market. This is the website I use for all of my kind of data and stuff. It's usually pretty reliable. So on Transfer Market, they value McTominay at 32 million euros. There you go. So it gives you a bit of an idea of how reliable this website is. And we've just got 30 for him. So around his market value. Obviously, he has only got 1 year left on his deal, though, you have to remember. So you have to factor that in. But yeah, McTominay to Napoli, here we go. Done deal. Flying to Naples. Manchester United have authorised the plane to go. He'll go and sign his contract, which obviously means Manuel Ugarte will become a Manchester United player. We've got a super chat coming in here from Glenn. Thank you for your super chat, mate. I really appreciate it. Glenn says, on a brighter note, Ugarte was only beaten in successful tackles in the top 5 leagues by Paulinho, but Ugarte only played 21 games. Mate, I saw that stat earlier. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable stat. And I think he's going to completely solidify our midfield. So let's talk a little bit about Manuel Ugarte. Thank you again for your super chat. I really appreciate it. So in relation to Manuel Ugarte, obviously now that we've had the here we go for Scott McTominay, it does mean that Manuel Ugarte will fly to Manchester. Obviously, Fabrizio's just said that McTominay is going to fly to Naples, as we all expected. So it's a win-win for everybody. We've just got 30 million for McTominay. We've got, I think it was 12 million for Hannibal Mejbri. So we've got 42 million euros for Hannibal Mejbri and Scott McTominay. And we've just agreed a deal with PSG for 50 million euros. So we've technically only paid, really, 8 million euros for Manuel Ugarte. If you look at it like that, McTominay, Hannibal, 42 million combined. 50 for Ugarte plus add-ons. It's a great deal. Great bit of business. Great work, Ineos. Obviously, we've cleared a substantial amount of wages from the wage bill by getting rid of Eriksen, by getting rid of Hannibal, and also getting rid of Donny van der Beek. Donny van der Beek was on 150 grand a week. Let that sink in for a minute, everyone. 150 grand a week for Donny van der Beek. McTominay was on 60, and Hannibal Mejbri was on 20. So those three players in the midfield that we've let go were on a combined salary of 230,000 a week. If we managed to get rid of Eriksen as well, he's on 150k a week. We'd be on over 400 grand a week saved on those four midfielders. So yeah, really, really happy about that one. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. But yeah, I'm feeling really, really positive about how things are going at the moment. I think it's very, very difficult to find any flaws in how Ineos are running the football club at the moment. Obviously, they're going to make mistakes. They'll make bad signings. They'll make bad decisions. But to this point, I think they've made all of the ruthless decisions that we kind of needed them to make. I think everything they've done so far has been good. Stefan says, do you think we need a striker? I do. Yeah. I still think we need an attacking player, personally. But I know when I said that before, people were like, what are you talking about? We just need a left back. I still think scoring goals is going to be our problem. Let me tell you a stat, right? I do quite like stats. Manchester United in the Premier League so far, in the first two games, have the highest XG out of any team. And we've also missed the most chances out of any team. Big chances, not like shooting from the halfway line. We've missed the most clear-cut chances out of any team in the Premier League. And we've only scored 2 goals. I think we've missed like 5 or 6 goals that are like, I can't remember what they call it. I think it's clear-cut chances, like goals where you should be scoring, where 9 times out of 10 you score. And we've missed, I think it's either 5 or 6 in the first 2 games. Like you saw against Fulham, Ahmad should have scored. There was a couple of other moments where we definitely should have scored. So yeah, I still think we do need another attacking player. I think that should still be, a priority. And the thing we have to remember is, I know people aren't going to like this, but Raheem Sterling is versatile. Last season for Chelsea, he played 22 times as a left winger. He played 3 times as a striker, 3 times as an attacking midfielder, and 11 times as a right winger. So he literally played across the whole of that front line last season. He scored 2 goals. In the 2 times Raheem Sterling played as a striker last season, he scored 2 goals in 2 games. So, if you're playing against a team where they've got a high line and you've got Raheem Sterling running in behind, I think he's a pretty good player to have. Is he my dream signing? No. At the beginning of the window, did I want him? No. If you'd have asked me a week ago, did I want him? No. But when you think about the situation now, you think about the fact that we need to get rid of Jadon Sancho. I think he's a very, very versatile and experienced attacking player who would, I think, improve our attacking options personally. And would bring experience as well. Like Garnacho's only, 19? Ahmad's only 20, 21. Anthony's 21, 22 and not very good. And Rashford's obviously kind of supposed to be in his prime, but isn't really there. And just to be very, very clear as well, apparently Manchester United aren't willing to pay the salary that that Raheem Sterling's asking for. So it's going to be like a slightly strange deal where both of the players will have to kind of change their salaries if they do get the moves that they want. They're not necessarily going to be paid the money that they're on now. So I know people are like, I don't want him because he's on this money. I don't want him for this reason. Apparently Manchester United have said that they will not pay the money that he's currently on per week. Like, that's not going to happen. So, you can kind of, take a deep breath on that one. He will obviously be on big wages, but it's not going to be like 250, 300k a week. It'll be somewhere around 200k a week, which isn't bad, I don't think. When you think that Anthony's on 200k a week, could you really complain about giving Sterling 150, 200k a week when Anthony's on 200? I don't think so. We pay Harry Maguire 200 grand a week. And Harry Maguire, let's be honest, he's not a terrible player, but he's not worth 200 grand a week. Bruno's on 300 grand a week now. Rashford's on 300 grand a week now. Sancho's on 250 grand a week. Like, if Sterling wants 150, 200, that's less than what Sancho's on at the moment. So it actually works out better financially. It'll be interesting to see how this one progresses. Like, the way I see it is, we have the opportunity here to get rid of Sancho once and for all, and also bring in another attacking player. Like, that's win-win for me. And unless Juventus are going to come back in and actually offer us serious money, which I don't know whether they are, then I would just take that deal because I don't want to see him loaned out. That's my preference. But yeah. Yeah, DiMarzio's confirmed that apparently his medical, McTominay's medical will be tomorrow morning. He's going to fly to Naples today, so that's good. I'm just seeing if there's any other news that I missed out on. Oh, yeah. A little bit about Christian Eriksen. Apparently, Man United are in talks with Ajax over a deal for Christian Eriksen. This is coming out from Laurie Whitwell. Ajax apparently still trying to say that they don't have the money to buy him. Excuse me, Ajax. Where did your 100 million euros go that we gave you for Anthony 2 years ago? Answer me that. Where did the 60 million that we gave you for Martinez go? It's complete rubbish. Of course, Ajax have got money. Rubbish. How can Ajax, right, look Manchester United in the eyes and say, we don't have any money? Surely they'd be kind of like laughing a little bit, like, oh, we don't have any money. Like, do they not realise that we gave them 100 million euros for Anthony? Surely they know that. Or do they need reminding? Like, we only want 5 million for Christian Eriksen, and they've got 100 million of ours for Anthony. I just don't understand it when teams try and like negotiate like that and say, like, we don't have any money, we can't afford him. What? Like, why did you even bother asking Manchester United for Eriksen to then turn around and tell us that you don't have any money? It's complete rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And I swear Ajax don't really spend like... Let's have a look at Ajax's transfers this summer. It just makes my blood boil, this stuff. And I know it's a negotiation tactic. This summer, right, Ajax have spent nothing. They've genuinely spent... They haven't spent a penny. Ajax, not one penny. And they've sold 30 million euros worth of players. Last summer... I mean, how are they even having this argument? Last summer they made 46 million euros profit. This summer they've made 30. And the summer before that was the year where obviously they sold Anthony to us. The summer before that they made over 100 million euros profit. So in the last 3 transfer windows, Ajax have made nearly 200 million euros profit. And they're telling us they don't have 5 million euros to buy Christian Eriksen. Like, what? Anyway, complete rubbish. They're trying to do us over. Yeah, I don't even know what to say, to be honest. Absolute bunch of jokers. Absolute bunch of jokers. That's all I'm saying. Well, what are they doing with that money? Right. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It feels like a good point to end the video. I will be back at 8:30 tomorrow morning as usual. Please do me a small favour and hit the like button before you leave. Let's try and get to that 1,000 likes mark. And also, don't forget to subscribe as well. We are getting so close to this 40k. I really want to hit it before the end of the transfer window on Friday. And obviously, I am going to be doing a little competition, a little giveaway for 2 Manchester United shirts when we hit 40k. So go and subscribe. Have a great evening. I'll be back at 8:30. If anything breaks, obviously I will go live. Welcome to Ibrima, who's just joined the Daily Red Devil Members Club as well, by the way. Thank you very much for your support. Yeah, I'll catch you all at 8:30 tomorrow. If anything breaks, I will go live. Make sure the notification bell's on. Speak to you all later. Have a lovely evening. Bye for now.